Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe my channel. The Morning Beacon studio hummed with its usual pre-show energy, a controlled chaos of murmured scripts, clicking heels, and the faint smell of coffee and hairspray. For Leo, the veteran stage manager, it was a familiar symphony. He moved through it with practiced ease, a silent conductor ensuring every camera cue and lighting shift was flawless. At the heart of the bright, noisy set was Ben Carter. With his easy smile and effortless charm, Ben was the show's sun, and everything else orbited around him. Leo had worked with him for a decade, navigating his larger-than-life personality, his occasional thoughtlessness, and the genuine warmth he could also show. It was a balance. Today's segment was a light-hearted cooking demo with a celebrated pastry chef. Laughter was the goal. "And now," Ben announced, his voice a smooth baritone calibrated for millions, "we're going to see if Sarah can teach a couple of left-handed guys like us how to properly pipe a choux pastry." It was a standard Ben Carter line, affable, self-depreciating, creating camaraderie. The crew chuckled. Leo, focused on the monitor, gave a silent cue to camera 2. But Ben wasn't finished. He turned his dazzling smile directly toward Leo, who was visible in the wide shot. "Right, Leo? You've got two left hands when it comes to anything more complicated than a coffee machine. I still remember the incident with the teleprompter and that cup of Earl Grey." The studio audience erupted in laughter. On the surface, it was nothing, a joke, a bit of banter. But Leo felt the words land like a physical blow. The incident had been 5 years ago, a moment of sheer exhaustion after he'd pulled a double shift to cover for a sick colleague, a moment of clumsiness that had briefly delayed a segment. Ben had promised never to mention it again. Across the set, Sarah, the co-host, let out a strained laugh. "All right, Ben, let's not break any more equipment," she said, smoothly trying to pivot back to the chef. The rest of the hour passed in a blur for Leo. His commands were still sharp, his cues perfect, but inside, he was frozen. The joke wasn't just a joke. It was a public reminder of a private failure, a casual erosion of the trust he thought they'd built. It painted him as a bumbler, a punchline in front of his entire team and the watching nation. During the commercial break, the atmosphere on the floor shifted. The easy camaraderie was gone. A young production assistant avoided Leo's eyes. The sound technician gave him a sympathetic, almost pitying pat on the shoulder. The silence around him was louder than the laughter had been. Ben, meanwhile, was being whisked away for a quick wardrobe change, seemingly oblivious. He flashed Leo a thumbs up. "Great segment, buddy." The word buddy hung in the air, feeling hollow. Back in the stark, windowless silence of the control room after the show, Leo packed his bag. The usual post-show debrief was muted. The director, a no-nonsense woman named Anya, lingered after everyone else had left. "You okay, Leo?" she asked, her voice low. He just nodded, not trusting himself to speak. "It was a cheap shot," she said simply. "Unprofessional. I'll have a word." "Don't," Leo said, his voice rough. "It'll just make it a thing." But it already was a thing, the unspoken thing. It was in the way the crew now looked at him, not as the unflappable maestro of the broadcast, but as Ben Carter's foil. The joke began to echo online, clipped into a short, viral video with the caption, "Ben Carter roasts clumsy crew member." He spent the day avoiding his phone. When he finally checked it, there was a single text from Ben, sent hours earlier. "Hey, hope that bit landed okay. All in good fun." Leo stared at the screen. The chasm between Ben's perception and his own felt vast and uncrossable. All in good fun. For the one making the joke, perhaps. For the one whose professional identity was being used as a punchline. It felt like something else entirely. He didn't reply. He poured a glass of water and stood at his apartment window, watching the city lights twinkle below. The show's bright, artificial world felt a million miles away. He thought about the decade of loyalty, the unseen work, the quiet sacrifices that kept Ben Carter shining so brightly. Tomorrow, he would go back to the studio. He would give his cues, manage the chaos, and ensure another flawless broadcast. But something had fundamentally shifted. The trust, which once was a sturdy piece of equipment, now had a hairline crack. And Leo knew, with a cold, clear certainty, that in their world of bright lights and perfect smiles, some cracks never truly heal, they just get better at hiding in the shadows.